Thanks for joining in. This is Sabyasachi, faculty at Pixeltest. We are learning SQL as it is used in many fields and industries: engineering, web development, database management, machine learning, AI, data science, and more. So once you learn the fundamentals, you can grow into the job of your choice with massive salaries. SQL is the first step. So let's begin. In today's SQL for data science and AI, we are going to learn how to set up the environment and a few initial basic concepts, right? So let me share my screen here. And people who are joining us for the first time, I request you to go and check in your Zoom, in your YouTube chat, there'll be a link for the Zoom session. You can directly join us in there, right? Thank you so much. Great. So I'd be sharing my screen. Hey Pranay, thanks for joining in. People who are watching us on YouTube and Zoom both, I request you to mute your YouTube. Okay, great. So I'd be sharing the link to the practice, the link to the same practice and notes. The practice link and notes is already there in the description, but I'm going to share it here as well. Yes. Amazing. Okay. So first of all, let us try to understand how to install. So the mode of learning, our learning would be learning by exercise. We're not just directly going into theory and post theory going into exercise. We are going to learn as we practice. So first, we are going to set up our environment, right? So let me share my screen here. Let me know if my screen is visible. Type V in the chat box. Great. So the link that I've shared, you can see that the SQL for data science, SQL made easy, is coming up. Now, the link to this is already there in the description. So if you are new to SQL also, do not worry. We are going to cover from the basics. And if at all you are already in data science, have a little basics of Python, even if you do not have, we're going to cover everything from the basics, right? So it is always good to have more tools and skill sets under your hat. So SQL is an essential one of them. So you can even use SQL to integrate with Python and do a lot of integration related activities also. So first, let's cover a few fundamentals of SQL, right? So now, before we install, based upon your machine, I'd request you to go ahead and click on installing this MySQL Community Edition. So we are going to use MySQL Workbench as our IDE, specifically for SQL. In that, before we go ahead and install, I'd request you to go and install this community server. So when you install this, you'll be able to set up it will auto set up the community server on your system, right? So if you go onto this direct link also, dev.mysql.com/downloads, first you'll be required to install the community server, and then you have to go ahead and install your workbench, right? So in Windows systems, you can directly go ahead and go for the MySQL installer also. But even this approach is something that will be helpful for everyone, right? So once you click on these links, you'll have to choose your operating system. Like if at all you are on Windows, it will tell you if you want to the latest 8.0.3 is available for 64 and also available for other versions also. Based upon whatever operating system you are, you can go ahead and choose one, right? Once you go ahead, the installation process is very simple. You have to go click next, and at one particular screen, you'd be required To set up a password, it will ask you for setting up a root password where you can set up any password for your database. So this password, I request you to remember, put something simple that you will be able to access and remember every time, right? So let us go ahead. So I have installed MySQL community on my community server on my device, and I also installed MySQL Workbench as well, right? So if at all we're going to, pause, if there's any question, I would be open to taking it up, right? Hello, Pranay. Hey, Gaurav. Nice to see you. May I know which city you are from? Yeah, Gaurav, you can go ahead and tell. Pranay, you can even introduce yourself. Should not be a problem. Yes, people who are joining us for the first time, I request you to put your name and the city from which you're joining in the on the chat. Hey Irfan, thanks for joining in. Great. So which city you are from, Irfan? You can just go ahead while we are installing. Please go ahead and install parallelly while we are proceeding. Yeah, so if there's any problem or issue, you can just let us know. It takes roughly about a minute or two. Nellore, Andhra Pradesh. Thank you so much, Irfan. Vivek sir says he's from Noida. Nice to know that, right? So thank you so much. You can even join us on Zoom live. That's also good. Hey, Rizwan. I would request you to go ahead and click the link that is there on the description. In there, you'll be able to find the links that I have shared. You'll find the community edition by MySQL Workbench, and you'll be able to directly go ahead and download it, right? If you are on a Mac OS, you'd require to install community edition and Workbench separately. When you install, what happens when you install community edition is, let me share my screen. So yeah, I'm sharing my screen here. Yes. So when you install these community edition, you'll be able to see that it will auto install the instance on your system, and it will because of that the automatic MySQL server will be set up on your PC, right? So you need not have to separately install do anything. So this will set up your local MySQL environment. So I request you to go ahead and first install the community edition, and once you do that, go ahead and install the Workbench also, right? So let me share my screen and I'll show you that. I'm going to open the MySQL Workbench, right? So this is how the MySQL Workbench looks like. And if at all you have already installed the community edition, you'll already see that this connection is visible, right? So you'll be able to see the connection here. Okay. Great. So I assume most of the people are able to install. If you have any challenges while installation, you can put in the comment section. We're going to, get back, once we see your query. Okay. Great. Then so let's proceed and begin with a few queries. Right. So why SQL? So now if you open this particular connection that you have created, when double click on it, it will ask the password. Remember, I told you about the password that you will set up while installing the community edition. Here I'm going to enter the password that I have used while installation, right? Okay. Okay, so let me first log in and wait. So once you install, once you enter your credentials, you'll be able to see the workbench. So how many of you are following? How many of you have workbench installed on your PC? Type me in the chat box. Let me check. How many of you have workbench installed? You understood this particular step. Hey Irfan, thanks. So Irfan, did you install it right now or install it before?
মোবাইলটা খুব দেখা তার তো দেখে না বাবা, মোবাইলটা তো হাতে পায় না ছোট।
Request members to mute themselves. Yes, Irfan. Oh, before Irfan has installed it before, so that's great to know. Now let's proceed and delve deeper. Great. So Vivek sir also says that he has installed before, right? Even if it is simple, if at all you need any installation help while you are going forward, I'd request you to watch a installation video on the same, and you'll be able to easily do that. So Rizwan, in the description of the YouTube and in here Zoom, I have shared the installation link for the SQL setup, right? So I'm already again sharing it on chat here. There'll be an installation link, right? So you have to go ahead and install that. Now, when you open this, let me share my screen again. Okay. Let me share the browser. Great. I hope you're able to see this particular page. Right, Rizwan. So you'll have to go ahead and install this first, the community server, and then you have to install the workbench. So workbench is where we are going to, install work with our queries and everything. So you can click there and download workbench also, right? So you can go to the community downloads. You're going to install this and this, right? Okay, so thanks everyone for joining in and letting me know that you were able to install it. So let me tell you the mode of the program. So we're not going to learn all at one stretch. We're going to join every day, roughly about 20 to 30 minutes, where we are going to learn a little bit more about SQL, right? So I would want to know, Irfan, so how long you have been using SQL? And Vivek, you can also let us know how long you have been using SQL, how long you have been operating on SQL. This will give us a fair idea on what kind of background we have on the people. So we have definitely people who have never installed it. Rizwan sir, you can go ahead and install the tool that we have told, which is the MySQL Workbench. So Vivek is already maybe he's using from 1 year. So I'm sure that you will have definitely over intermediate or advanced. Yes, Senthil, you have any question? Okay, I request you to mute. Yeah, so you already have a 1 year experience of PHP. So you can definitely go ahead and explore more of data science directly, Vivek. I'm sure that you can proceed that way as well. Great. So now let's begin with the basics. So we are covering, because we have many people who are from a non-coding background, we are going to cover from the basics. So people who have little experience might feel that this is starting from the basics, but hang in there. Like every day we are going to learn more and more about it. So soon enough, we'll catch up, right? Okay, great. So let me share my screen of Workbench. Great. So this is how Workbench is visible. Like here, this is where you're going to run your queries. And we are going to first understand the structure of the whole, SQL, how does it work and all. Right. So to work on anything, on any different type of database, we'll have to have a database, right? So I'm going to share with you a small mind map on what is the whole, the architecture view of it, right? So I'm going to open just a small spreadsheet here. So if you look at this particular sheet, now how SQL works is you have a database. Now database is more like your storage, like your hosting or your hard disk, right? So where you are going to have many different tables. Now tables is something like this, right? So if now database, you can consider it like where you are having all different kind of tables, right? Tables, each table you can consider as a sheet which has rows and columns, right? So this is a little in the layman language. Now, if you see, a database is going to consist of a lot of tables, like let's just say table 1 and table 2, and it can consist so and so many like that, right? So it can have a lot of tables. So each database will have a number of tables. So it can have 2 tables, 4 tables, 20 tables, 200 tables, and larger databases have larger tables, right? So now if you look at this particular database structure, let's try to think about database of Amazon or Flipkart. So how does this work is they have multiple databases, and in that they'll have multiple tables. Like I'm just giving you an overall example. They'll have a complex system, but any e-commerce store, let's say one of the table say is customers. Okay, so one of the table is say products. So one of the table let's say is orders, right? So there are like a lot of things that you can say. So one of the things is like customer tickets, right? So if there's any issue that we have said, there's another thing, say refunds. Okay, so then there is vendors, where sellers, right? So they'll have sellers. So they'll have huge amounts of tables where you can always run queries on. So for example, what happens, how does this work? Maybe Vivek, because he's from a PHP background, will be easily able to relate it and answer many queries also. So first, what happens is there is an interface. Let's say here in this interface, there's the website, and here there's a button where you say register, right? So in this button, when you click this button, what is happening, you have filled a form, and once you have filled the form, you clicked on that particular register button. So you'll be able to see that whatever form details that you have submitted goes into your customers table, right? So all the things that you have inserted in this registration form, right, are going into your customers table. Similarly, whenever they are adding products, or sellers have registered and added their products, they are going on to different tables, right? So this is how all of the data is getting stored For our case, we are going to use create our own databases. We are not going to use any sign in sign up forms. So, but this will give you a overall understanding of what is a database, what are tables, and in that tables, how different kinds of uh, data is stored, right? So now each of the table could have multiple columns, rows and columns, right? So for example, customers, a table, something, let's just say customers could have columns like customer ID, and then have customer name, mobile, email, right? So on and so forth, right? So a lot of columns like that, right? So this is how a database table will look like, right? So we're going to create a few of them here, and we'll understand how this will work on a larger scale as well, right? So if you are clear about what is a database, on a brief level, on a overview level, what is a database and what are tables in that? If you're clear, type C in the chat box. Yes, so people who are clear about what is a database and what are tables in it, and each table can have columns and rows like an Excel sheet. If you understood this much, type C in the chat box. Thank you, Manvik, for letting me know. Yes, Ankush, you can reach us out. Maybe you can interact in our Zoom session. We are live directly, so there I'll be able to share more details. Ankush, thanks for asking. And Vivek asks, how can we use SQL with data science? Now, we also cover Python, Vivek. So you can see that in Python, what you can do is you can import CSV files or SQL files. For example, your organization has given a .SQL file or any dump of any database. You'll be able to import it in Python and then run your queries there, right? So you can do that. Then you can run a lot of, if you have some millions of rows and columns records also, you'll be able to generate beautiful insights there, right? So there are a lot of ways to integrate SQL with data science. We are going to discuss all of those as we proceed forward. Yes, thanks for the question, and it will help many others also. Great. Now we'll proceed forward because today is the first session. We are going to keep it more on towards the basics only. We're going to just create one database, and as we go forward, we'll create tables and everything in that. Right. So let me share my screen once again. Thank you, Irfan, for letting me know that you're clear with the concept. So our mode of learning is more of learn by exercise. So we are going to learn by exercise, and we're going to do, and then we are going to learn, right? So if you have installed recently, you will be able to see that you'll have nothing except from the sys table here, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to first remove if there's any other tables that we have, or I'm going to create a new one, right? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new database, and the queries of these are also there on the link that I've shared, right? So if you can see the link that I've shared here in the description, you'll be able to see that there are all the queries listed out here, right? So now if you can see here, we are able to see that there are a few queries that we are going to use, right? So first query that we are going to use is create database and name of that particular database, right? So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch to my SQL workbench, and I'm going to use the query that we have taken out from the link that I've shared, right? So from the practice link and notes, you can add this query here. So now if you see what the structure here is, so now there are a few rules of how to use the SQL queries, how to write queries, and these queries, these particular rules, if you do it in that format only, it will run, or it will not take your instruction, right? So these rules are called syntax, and we are going to the syntax or the rules for writing a query to create a database is like this: create database and then give the name of the database, right? So let's just say I'm going to create a database of univ students, right? So let's say it is, let's even say college students. Okay, now what I'm doing here is I am naming our database as college students. Now if you run this particular query, so how do you run that? You can see that there's this lightning symbol here, and when you run this, you'll be able to create a new database. So this is the beginning of your SQL journey. If you have installed and you are here, go ahead and do this. We're going to do, work on the same things. So we're going to create multiple tables, but today we'll try to create one table and drop it, right? We'll also delete that particular table. So now let's say we have created the database. How do we do that? I'm going to click on this particular run, right? So now when you do that here, you can see that there is a green tick which says create database college students, right? It successfully ran, right? So one row affected, right? So now what we are going to do is we are going to refresh. Now you can see that here there is an option called refresh. Now I'm going to refresh it. You can see that there is a college students database created, right? So now you can see that if I double click further, I'm not able to open any of these, but one database. Now, how does the database look like? Now this icon here with, the cylindrical shapes is the database. Now, if you have followed till now and understood how to create a database, if you're clear till now, type C in the chat box. If you're clear on how to create a database, you can type C in the chat box. Thanks, Vivek. Yes, so the syntax for creating a database is create database and name of your database, right? So yes, thank you, Irfan. Thank you, Sendil, for letting me know that this is clear till now. Really nice to know. So Sendil, did you install the MySQL Workbench now or before? I request most of you to do this hands-on. Do not directly see only. Go ahead and practice. When you do practice, it's going to be helpful, right? So you can just put it in the chat box, Sendil. Thanks for letting me know that this is clear till now, right? So congratulations, you created your table, right? So people who have done it for the first time, congratulations for creating your first table, right? Now, if you look at the link that I've shared, there is the next query that we are going to use. So each of these, a statement that we are running is called as a query. So I'm going back, taking another query. You can go ahead and take it from the exercise. Okay, so where do you see the exercise? Let me share my screen here. See? This is where you can find your second query, third and fourth query. Okay, so go ahead and use this link. I'm going to paste it again on chat. Amazing, right? So I'm going to take the second query come back to my workbench. Great. So my second query says, create table. And what is the name of the table? Like how we thought of the e-commerce store example. Similarly, here in the college students, I'm going to create a table. Now you can see that the syntax here, the rule here is different. Here we're not saying database, we're saying table. So create table student underscore info, right? So here till here we are saying create a table. And then if you see, we have opened these parentheses or brackets. So when you do that, this is how it will look, right? So you're going to, there'll be within this brackets, we are going to write our statements, right? So now that we told that create a table, we're also going to tell it what columns these tables have to be, right? So first what I'm doing, I'm going to say create student ID, right? So now we'll understand more of it as we proceed forward. When we say student ID in Excel or any other place, you might not have to require, to tell what type of ID it will be. So most of the times it is numeric or alphanumeric, right? It will be either number or ST or STU1, right? Alphabet or a number. But what we are doing here is we are saying it is going to be an integer. So that is where we have written int. And then we are saying primary key, meaning that we are going to also discuss more about primary keys. When we are saying primary key, we say that, this is going to be the primary column that we are going to operate along, right? So more details about primary key as we proceed forward. Now, what we are doing is we are going to say similarly name, and then we are saying, where char. So now what this means is it is going to be a variable character. It is going to be of length 50, right? 50 characters. So you have to specify these data types. So we are going to say call these data types. So every particular column has its own data type, right? So email is also a varchar with 100 characters limit. So somebody is trying to enter 105 characters email, it will reject the input, right? So it will not be able to take it, right? And you can see that every particular column we are creating, we are separating it with a comma. So the syntax is like this: create table, name of the table, and open this, the brackets, the regular parentheses, name of the columns, and then type of the column, int, varchar, and date. And out of that, whatever is primary, we are going to say primary space key, right? So that is how we are doing it, right? So if you have understood the syntax of it, because we are going to use it more often, you will get used to it. You don't have to memorize anything at this moment. Try to understand, the overview of it, because it is the first. Yes, Rizwan. If you have a question, you can put it on the channel. There is background noise. Yes, Rizwan. You have any query?
Hello?
Yes, Rizwan. Now you can go ahead. There's some background noise coming in. Yeah, you're on mute, Rizwan. Okay, so until you're back, let's proceed. So now you can see that we said create table, name of the table. So specifically when you're working with MySQL Workbench, you might have to tell which database you want to have this table in, right? So what was the name of our database? It was college students. So we are going to say college students dot. So what we are saying is create a table students underscore info in the database college students, right? So, and this particular semicolon, it is useful when you are running multiple queries. So it is like a habit. If you have it in every query, whenever you run multiple queries, like for example, if I write second query also, this will separate, right? So that is how multiple queries are useful. For example, when you are signing up, right? Your data has to be first saved onto the database, and then also some action has to be done. Say, assign, new customer, offer customer, coupon. Some other query can also run parallelly. So that is the reason we use this semicolon to run multiple queries, right? So this is more prominent when you are running multiple queries. Okay, so I'm going to click on the thunder icon. If you are using any other interface apart from Workbench, you will have the run option, like a green button or anything. You can go ahead and click that, right? So I'm going to click this. Now you can see that college students dot student underscore info got created, right? So how do we see, because there's a tick mark here, let us check if there's any error. I'm going to refresh it here. You can see that there is an arrow that is come up here, right? I'm going to click that, and then there is student underscore info, right? So, okay, student underscore info, the table got created, and what columns it has. Now, under that, you can see there is columns. We'll understand all of these as we proceed forward, but let us see what columns it has. It has student ID, and it is integer. Here you can see that it's an integer and primary key. And then there is name, which is a varchar up to length up to 50, email a varchar length up to 100, enrollment date, which is of format date, right? So which means that you have created your first table, right, in this database. So if you're clear till now, right, first we created a database, which was what the college students. So we created this database. And now later we created a table in that using the create table syntax, create table, query, and with its own columns, right? And every column we specified the data type of it. And this is the syntax of it. We'll understand more about it as we go forward, right? Now, if you're able to come till here, if you're able to create a table, and if this concept is clear, type C in the chat box. Yes, so Irfan asked, how can I see schemas in the left side? Okay, so basically, if at all you're using Workbench, you'll be able to see it here. And more so, if you are here, once you click on this home icon, you can click on the connection. For example, this was the name of your connection. You can click there and you'll be able to see schemas here. And if at all you want to see, there is an option in the top of view. Maybe in that view, there's a panels option also. So you can hide sidebar. In the view, panels, show sidebar. You can see the schemas there, right? I hope that helps, Irfan. Right. So if you are able to create a table in the database, and you're clear with the concept briefly, how you have created a table and a database and a table, type C in the chat box. Great. Thanks, Prashant. Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Lakshman. Thanks, Irfan. Okay, great. Amazing. So let's resume. Now that we have created a table, what we are going to do, the table is like an empty sheet with just column headings. Now we have to insert records or rows. So how do we do that? We do it with the insert query. So let's go ahead and take it from where we have our exercise link. we have given that exercise link because it will be easy for us to work together on something. Only difference here is in the query here, you might have to give the name, database name that you have created, right? Okay, so I'm going forward and opening the link that I've shared. The link to this particular exercise sheet is there in the description, right? So let me resume. I'm going to clear all of this. And now we are going to say insert, right? So now what is insert into? Now we have a table. The name of the table is student_info. Now we are going to say insert into student_info, right? Now, based upon what was the database name, my database name was college students, right? Now you can have the database name that you had, right? Then say dot student_info. So insert into this database and this table. Okay, now what to insert? We have understood, we told that to insert. What to insert is these values. The values are one, Aparna Singh, aparna@gmail.com, and some date. Now, why are we giving it in this particular order? Because we had student ID, name, email, and enrollment date as columns, right? So now to even specify, because if you want to give it in a different order or give only student name or something, you have to specify here in the brackets of the table, right? So what I'm going to say here is insert into this database college students dot student_info, this table, and the columns are student_id, comma name, comma email, comma enrollment_date, right? You have told till here where to insert. Insert into database dot table name in brackets names of the columns. Then what to insert? Values, then bracket open again, and you said within that bracket one, name, email, enrollment date. You can see that whenever there is a name, we are giving it in single quotes, right? So you can see that there are single quotes here and in the email. But whenever you are giving an integer, right, student_id was an int, if you remember, right? So when you click here, you can see that it was an integer. So for integers, you do not have to put single quotes, right? So when you put a single quote, it becomes a non-integer or a text or a string, right? So for that reason, we are leaving it like that. And then we gave all of this. And if you want to insert more records, then say comma, and then the second record to Bharat Kumar, bharat@hmail.com, and then date. So you can see that this is the format that we have used for the insert query. Okay, very simple. Do not feel it is overwhelmed if you're watching, seeing it for the first time. What we have done: insert into, then database name dot table name, then names of the columns, then values, then the values, right? So this is what we have done. If you have more values, you separate each of the value set with a bracket, right? So now I'm going to run this. Now if I run this, you can see that there's a green tick here which says 2 rows affected, right? 2 rows affected. And let's go ahead and try to refresh this once again, right? So now you can see that here, you are not able to see further from here. You are like how you have seen database tables and all, you'll not be able to see the names here. So we have to find a different way to access whatever is there in these particular tables, right? But till now, if you understood how to insert values into your tables, if you understood this overview concept of insert query, type U in the chat box. Right. So if you've understood so far, type U in the chat box. Great. So I can see many people are watching us live. How many of you are like new to SQL? Right. If you are new to SQL, type N in the chat box. Thanks, Irfan, for letting us know that you've understood it. Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Sampath. So a lot of people who have understood the concept now. So how many of you are new to SQL? Right. So if you're new to SQL, type N in the chat box. Irfan, you say you're new. That's nice because you already have installed it. There is definitely clear intent that you want to learn the SQL and you are also learning it, right? So how long you have been doing this, Irfan? So is it possible for you to unmute and speak so it will be easier?
So before I am 1 month, I installed that MySQL workbench, sir.
Oh, thank you. Which city you are from, Irfan?
Nellore, sir.
Oh, Nellore, you
Nellore,
said.
Andhra Pradesh.
That's really nice, right? So, so now are you learning it by self or are you learning it from any specific institute or something?
No, sir. I am learning myself only.
Okay, so you're learning by self, right?
Yes, sir.
That's good, right? So, do you have other friends also who are learning with small community or group?
No, sir. No, sir. No one is not there.
Okay, okay.
I'm self only. I'm learning.
Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much. So you also have to run these programs. You're learning, that's fine. But I request you to go ahead and run this along so that you'll have more clarity. So when we run these queries, you'll run into errors and becomes clear, right? So Harish, Hari Krishnam Raju asked how to join Zoom Live. In the chat, there is a link in the top where you can see that it's a blue color bar, a Zoom link. You can click there and join us live. Hari Krishnam Raju. Yes. Okay, thank you so much, Irfan, for sharing your experience and learning. So we'll keep continuing that. Now that so Vasu sir says new to SQL, Vasu sir, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We have seen Vasu sir has it's very curious by nature. He's been in our Python, blockchain, and SQL. So I'm sure this will lead for you further in the journey. More request would be to go ahead and do the hands-on also, sir. Go ahead and maybe rewind and install the setup and do the hands-on. It will be more useful. Great. Okay, so now we are going forward. And let me share my screen. Okay, so here we are. We have inserted. Now let us go back to our practice exercise. Here I've shared the link. Now what we are doing here is I'm copying this, coming to my workbench and removing whatever we have inserted till now and pasting it here. So this is the query. What we are doing is this is a query that you are going to run very often, right? So we are going to say select. We are going to say select from student underscore info. But how SQL works is how SQL queries work is you have to tell what to select also. So there are some shorthand notations in SQL. One of such shorthand is this asterisk symbol, right? So in many other languages, if you're familiar with other languages, these are used as wildcard characters where you want to select everything, right? So that is the reason when you say select asterisk or select star, many people say star, select star from student underscore info. What you're telling SQL here is in the table student underscore info, bring back everything that you see, right? So this is how this works. I am not going to type the name of the database here, directly typing the name of the table and see if I'm running into any errors, right? So how does the error look like in SQL? Now you can see that here it says you have an error in your SQL syntax. And here it says student underscore info cross mark error code is so and so, and it did not work. So because you have to, if you have multiple databases, you have to tell which database you want to select from. So I'm going to say college students dot student underscore info, right? So I'm going to select, I'm saying select everything from this database and this table, right? So if I'm going to click on the thunder or run icon, now you can see, okay, let me bring back my SQL. Okay, so now when I say select star from this database in this table, I'm going to run it. Let's see. Let's go into our schema. My SQL just restarted. Cool, not a problem, right? Let me share my screen back up. Okay, so now I've opened my connection, entered my password. Right. So if at all, if you're able to run it till now, please go ahead and continue. If issue persists on my end that my SQL workbench crashes down or closes, in that case, I request you to go ahead and run it. So this query select star from college students dot student info should bring up your rows. So you'll be able to see them here. I request you to run them. So Irfan, are you able to run this particular query at your end? You can type in the chat box if you're able to. Vijay is able to run it. That's great. Sushant is able to do it. Amazing. So yes, Sheikh Irfan also says yes. Okay, so I'm going to try give it another attempt and see if it is going to work. It crashed once again, so should not be a problem, but this is more of my device issue, could be. But you will be able to see that the select star from students underscore info with the name of your database should bring up all the records that you have entered. So it will bring up Aparna Singh, Aparna email at gmail.com with the enrollment ID, and similarly the second record, which is to Bharat Kumar, bharat@hmail.com, and the date also, right? So this is how we have in our first session understood how to go forward, create a database, create a table, and insert into that particular table. Now, after insertion, we've also understood how to access those columns. As we proceed forward, we are going to learn more about how to do specific selection, right? How to only get email of Aparna only, or how to get email of only Prashant, how to get some combination of information based upon two different tables. Like there is a classes and there is a students table. So how to do an overlap of that, how to join them. So all of these things we are going to learn as we proceed forward. But thanks for joining in. I hope the session was clear. If you're able to get most of this session, if you have understood most of the session, you can type U in the chat box. Great. Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Vijay. Thanks, Rahul. Thanks, Senthil. Nice to see you, Senthil. Thanks, Hari Krishna Raju. So thank you so much for joining in. And also to mention, if you want to know more about data science, we also do our masterclass. This happens every Saturday regarding the data science. I request you to go ahead and register for that particular masterclass. What happens is you will understand more about the prospects. One of our teammates, Latika, the masterclass is free. You will be given opportunity into that, like understand what is about our community. In our community, we have over 1,050 people, and you'll be able to understand. Thank you, Irfan. And Hari Krishna Raju asked how to get next class information early notification. Thank you, Vasu sir. So basically, Hari Krishna Raju, basically the early information, what I would suggest is I'm going to give you a link to a WhatsApp group. And it will also be there in the description. So you can join there. All the information is going to be shared there. So Sendil, I request you to also register. The link to the group is, I'm sharing it on the chat. So there are a lot of learners in the group, right? So you can also, yeah, so here is a link for the WhatsApp group, right? But to know more about the masterclass, I'm going to share with you the masterclass form as well. So if you fill this form, you will get all the details directly to your email, even WhatsApp. Okay, so yes, Irfan sharing on Zoom as well, also on all our social channels. I've shared the form link. You can go ahead and fill in the form, right? So it is a very simple form where you have to fill in your name, email, details, where you want to receive the information, and you'll receive the information. In that masterclass, you will be learning more about our, how AI is growing and how you can, if you are in a different technology, how to get into AI, how you can integrate it and all of that. Thank you so much, Irfan. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. So if there's any question, you can let us know. If you've understood it, you already let us know. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So see you tomorrow. Same time, all the information will be shared on the WhatsApp group. The link to the group is on the chat and the description. So if at all you want to watch the recording of the same, you can go back the same YouTube video that you navigated from into Zoom channel or Zoom or directly. You can rewind back and watch it once again. Great. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the evening. Take care. Bye-bye.